What's up, guys, and welcome to the fourth episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. Today, we're going to be going over a full off-season preview for the Washington Commanders. So we're about here now, a week away until the new league year, and things are definitely picking up. A bunch of rumors going around about who's going to go where, and if teams are already talking with players, and a bunch of all that stuff. So I wanted to break down who I think Washington should sign, who I think Washington needs to re-sign, who I think Washington needs to extend, and also who I think Washington needs to cut as well. In this episode, we're going to be going over the free agency period and the re-signing period. We're not going to be doing the draft. The draft will be on a later episode later on because that's definitely going to be taking up a few episodes because I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of players and prospects over there. But here, starting with the re-signing period, which is currently happening right now. Washington, of course, meeting with players' agents within the last few weeks, trying to get something done. The first guy here I want Washington to re-sign is defensive back Bobby McCain. He definitely went under the radar in Washington, though, last season, as he had 63 tackles and 4 interceptions with a pick 6 in the season finale. I mean, that's not bad. And especially if we're going to cut Landon Collins and save some cap space, he's definitely going to be one that we're going to need to re-sign, or we're going to need to get someone later on. But I really liked Bobby McCain last season, and hopefully he can come back to Washington. The second one here is running back J.D. Mckissick. This is kind of an obvious one. I mean, he paired really well last season with Antonio Gibson, and he's now unrestricted free agent, where a lot of fans I know want us to re-sign Mckissick, and I want to re-sign Mckissick too. He would definitely be, in my opinion, one of the biggest losses Washington would have if we don't re-sign him and we let him test the free agency waters. And like I said, him and Gibson, they were a very, very lethal duo last season when healthy. And then here, the third guy, it's kind of more of a group, and we have 3 wide receivers hitting the free agency market: Adam Humphries, Cam Sims, and DeAndre Carter. Adam Humphries, we can let go. We signed him to a 1-year deal, I believe, last offseason. And now here, he didn't really put up, I think he put up like 300-something yards. He did have some clutch catches on some third downs, but I don't really see the need to re-sign him. We can always get like a late-round wide receiver later on, and this wide receiver class is pretty deep, so I'm not really worried about re-signing Adam Humphries. Cam Sims, on the other hand, I mean, he's a bigger guy. He's kind of like Terry McLaurin. He can go up and catch the football. He can make some physical catches. But I wouldn't say that we're going to have to re-sign him as much as I want to re-sign DeAndre Carter. And DeAndre Carter, I don't remember. I think the last time we had a good kick and punt returner was like Andre Roberts, I want to say. But even then, like DeAndre Carter, he scored a touchdown on a kick return in a much-needed victory over the Atlanta Falcons early on in the season. He kind of died out through the second half of the season, but I'd still think we need to bring him back. He had like a prove-it 1-year deal. He's getting kind of older. I believe he's in his late 20s, but I still think he's got a few good more years in him, and I definitely think that we should bring him back. If we don't sign any of the 3 wide receivers that I mentioned, like I said, we could definitely go into the draft or through free agency. There's a lot of wide receivers in pretty much this entire offseason that are available, so I'm not really that worried about wide receivers, except for one guy. And this one guy, he's not a free agent, but he's our best player on the team, Terry McLaurin. This is going to be the biggest thing this offseason is, can we extend Terry McLaurin? He wants to stay. We want him to stay. The fans want him to stay. We're going to need to extend Terry McLaurin. And it's going to hurt a lot what he's going to want, and it's going to be very expensive. So it's going to be a lot of money, but this is something we need to do. And we need to do that as soon as possible because in free agency, there's some pretty good wide receivers like Chris Godwin, and now the news that broke earlier this weekend, Amari Cooper. And so we really need to extend this man because we got to do that first before we sign another big free agent. And now, in my opinion, the best part of the offseason, new faces in new places, signing new players. And there's a few names that I am definitely keeping my eye on for this upcoming offseason. First, we have the big guys. We already know them, like Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, I already mentioned. And also you have Devontae Adams, although we're not going to sign him. And then we also have some other big names, Teron Armstead being another one. There's a lot of big guys, but I just don't see Washington taking that route. I mean, they're trying to get a quarterback, which, of course, the news, Broggie and Rappaport earlier this weekend as well, saying Washington did offer, I think, multiple first-round picks plus a bunch of other stuff to the Seahawks. It was a very, very strong deal, but the Seahawks immediately declined it. So that means Russell Wilson will not be going anywhere, it sounds like. And unfortunately, Washington is going to need to find a quarterback through most likely the draft. Hopefully not free agency, but most likely the draft. The other two quarterbacks at Washington were trying to trade for, Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. Rodgers, it sounds like, is either probably going to stay or maybe retire. While Deshaun Watson, I don't want to trade for him. The fan base doesn't want to trade for him. And with all of the legal issues that he's going on right now, with him, I don't really see the culture that Washington is trying to build sign this type of guy. And now we move on to like the tier 2 quarterbacks like Mitch Trubisky and like Jameis Winston and Jimmy Garoppolo. If I had to choose one of these guys to sign, it would actually be none of them. And it would actually be Teddy Bridgewater. And he's a free agent this offseason. Bridgewater, I really liked him. He was on the Vikings for a little bit, did really well there before getting injured. Like I said, he does have a little bit of an injury history. And then, of course, the big-time concussion that he suffered with the Broncos this year. But I believe that Washington would do really well with this guy. Now moving on to positions not named the quarterback position and some free agents that I want to see Washington maybe sign. First is Jet safety Marcus May. I mean, we're not going to pay Tyrann Mathieu. We're probably not even going to sign Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu is going to want a bunch of money. Marcus May is a nice backup for still a good starter, and he'd pair pretty well with Cam Curl. And I would say he's definitely probably one of the most underrated safeties right now in the NFL. He does have a little bit of an injury history, which could be a little bit of a con if I was Washington looking at him. But overall, I think he'd be a great addition to the Washington defense. My second target is Bears offensive guard James Daniels. This man, we're going to need a replacement for Brandon Sheriff. We're not going to tag him. We're not going to do anything with him. So we're going to need a replacement. And James Daniels is coming off his rookie contract at 24 years old. That is a guy who could definitely be our next franchise guy at the offensive guard spot. He can also play center, I believe, as well. But we have a pretty good center in Wes Schweitzer when he's healthy. So I don't really see him playing center that much, but him at the offensive guard spot will definitely boost our offensive line a lot. Also, probably another con with James Daniels is that I believe he's going to ask for a lot of money because there's not really that many offensive guards, good offensive guards hitting the market now these days, so he's going to ask for a lot of money, but I think over time, if we pay him a solid amount, over time the money will definitely pay off. And finally, if we do lose J.D. McKissick in free agency, then I definitely think we should sign Cardinals running back Chase Edmonds. He has a very similar play style to J.D. McKissick. He's more of a receiver guy. He can also play third downs, be a third down back. With James Conner in Arizona, Conner played, I believe, the first and second, and then Edmonds played the third, which is exactly how the things worked out for Gibson and McKissick. McKissick also came in for some receiving plays as well, which Edmonds has done in Arizona. So I think he could definitely be another fill-the-role guy for J.D. McKissick and work pretty well with Antonio Gibson. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. We're going to have some more guests on soon, but I just really wanted to talk about who I think we should sign and who I think we should let go for the upcoming offseason. Also, I'm going to be doing some prospect reviews and stuff for players like Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, Drake London, who I really like a lot. So there's going to be some really good prospects that I'm going to have videos on soon. So thank you guys for watching another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. See you guys next one. Peace.